that window there used to be a little small bedroom, and this is where Mr. Ian Ferguson McConnell was born 40 years ago. And this is Nansvale, Elm Row, Lasswade. That used to be our door into the house. We had a little bathroom there. This was a private door to someone else that used to live upstairs, Mrs. Kelly. And this was our 2 bedrooms. And this is where Ian was born, in the village of Lasswade. Underneath there, in that little doorway down there, that used to be the coal cellar. It's a fine old building, still standing proud. And this is the garage where Ian used to run next door and help his grandfather, a very young mechanic at an early age. This used to be full of houses all up the street there. And Grandpa knocked them all down and built himself a garage with petrol pumps up the top. But of course even this is closed now. This petrol's so expensive and there's not that much profit in it. That whole street used to look like this, just houses. People living upstairs and downstairs. Okay?
Yes.
Is it recording?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the actual room where Ian was born, April the 25th, 1954. And as it's 40 years on, we can assume, well actually I know from looking at the past records, that it was, the weather was quite similar today. In fact, it was a very, very hot day, because I have a photograph of Dad in his boiler suit. It was that hot that he had his boiler suit on. And this is the village he sort of grew up on. He went to school here in little primary school to begin with, then up to the secondary school, and of course then he went to Lasswade High School. And this is his playing fields. This is where he lived, played until 1969, till he made the decision, well we all made the decision to go to Australia. So let's go and have a look at some of these haunts. We're going down that. So from the house you would come down the main street, across over the bridge, and down this street here. And this is down along past what we call the bank buildings. The old bank buildings. And there you can see the familiar sign. Big tall structure. And we walk along this way to the school. Let's go. This is to the wee, what we call the primary school then, you know. This off to the right hand side was a, well it still is actually, a little church hall owned by the Church of Scotland, and it was in here we had many a wonderful little children's parties and plays and everything sort of associated with the church and the family. It's a lovely little hall, had a wee kitchen at the back and some nice things. Right, the old school gate. Well, as you can see, the old school gate's closed. So I'll have to climb up this Ian and get a little bit of film here. So this is the old schoolyard. This was the primary school. You sort of attended here between the ages of 5 and 8-year-old, and then you moved up to the high school, which we go to next. I think that was the girls, and over on the other side was the boys. This was the girls' toilets, and round the corner was the boys' toilets. This big block here was the gymnasium. Beautiful big gym in it. And all these were just separated into small classrooms. First year, second year, third year. Yeah, it's funny the little playing areas we used to have. I mean, this was the boys' area. And you just used to kick footballs against the walls and stuff like that, you know. Of course, then you had your playing fields, which were out here, just for kicking footballs around and stuff like that. And then here we had the wee cottage there was the janitor's cottage. He was the man in charge. Mr. Macaulay was his name, used to live in the cottage. And this was the boys' toilets. As I said, you were here from the ages of 5 to 8-year-old. It's been all restored now inside, and it's being used, or it's going to be used in the near future for the Lothian Town Council. So this is where we spent the first years at college, bloody school. Every kid was the same. Mother would take them up to the school gate, first day at school. Everybody would be greeting, you know. Anyway, it's just part of growing up. And then up here, just round this corner, this led us to the high school, or the big school. And that was the headmaster. That was his house. There used to be a wee gate up there, but I see they went and blocked it off. Anyway, we'll go an alternative route and go up and have a look. Still surrounded by a little picturesque village of Lasswade. There's the church hall again down here. So let's go to the high school. Well, this is the site of the old schoolhouse. As you can see, there's been a couple of renovations done here. I mean, where these cars are just now, that used to be the full-size gymnasium. That was tacked onto the building here, but I see they've cleaned it all up, and these have all been turned into flats now. But this was the what kind of school was it? So this is the primary school. The last one down the hill being the infant school, you know, between 5 and 8, and you came up here between sort of 8 to sort of 12-year-old. So we used to walk along here. This once again used to be our playing areas. You used to have netball and things like that for the girls. And then we all used to stand in line at whatever prospective door you were at. That's all been blocked up, but that was the main entrance there. And then there was a secondary entrance over here. Upstairs you had your science classes and things like that. That was a great playing area. Once again, as all schools, this steps down here led to the girls' playing area. and toilets. They've gone now. And then over there was the boys' field. And down the bottom there we had another toilet block as well. And of course that's all changed. But once again a lovely view of Lasswade.
Yeah. I'm recording.
So this was the out of bounds for the young chaps. We never came down these stairs because this was the girls' playing area. Well, you came down for some dares sometimes, you know, you had to maybe run down and pinch somebody's bottom or do something crazy like that us boys get up to, you know. They had their own little playing field there and sort of their own little area and play certain games, whereas the guys would be down in the next court there playing football or banging it up against the wall during our breaks. It was a great school to sort of grow up in, because where we're heading next is up into the woods, where we did quite a lot of projects and stuff for the school and nature and stuff like that. It's great to be covered with forests and beautiful walks, rivers. It was a lovely little area, and of course everybody knew each other. It was only a small village. I think maximum was probably about maybe 80 kids, 40, 50 boys and girls at the one time, I suppose, in here. And from there, of course, we went to the big school, the high school, which was up the hill a wee bit. But this is where Ian first went when he was about 8-year-old until he was 12. So that's taken us through to, God, that's taken us through to 1966. So we'll continue this at another spot up in the woods. Right, and this is the way we got to the woods. This is a great little area here round by the high school, because if you were really good at sledging, which Ian wasn't, well, I had to teach him a lot of things, but this was really a good place if you were very good at sledging. And you would start right up the top of the hill and come down here, and you'd always have a mate standing at this post here watching that there was no traffic coming, and then you would just turn off to the left here and then shoot away down the brae down into the bank buildings there down at the bottom of the green. It was a fantastic trip. But this is where we used to do our wee nature walks with the school, so let's just go and have a look at some of the scenes. They've put all this bloody stupid thing here to stop young kids trying to kill themselves like we used to do. Mind you, I'm sure if I was a young kid I would find some way of getting around that with a sledge. I'd probably go underneath it. Not nowadays, but when I was younger. Well, there we can see Mrs. Clark that used to have the paper shop. That was her house and her farm. Lovely in the summertime. We used to come along here as boys and help them pick strawberries and blackberries and things like that. Well, in the late 50s, in the summertime, this field just used to be full with strawberries. And then over there used to be a marvellous old lake, which was owned by the paper mill. But now it's been all concreted over, and now we've got these mobile homes here, residents in Lasswade. Over to the side is the viaduct, where the trains used to go from here to Edinburgh. Yeah, from Lasswade right through to Edinburgh. And they'd also deliver coal and things like that. As I said earlier, There were marvellous playing fields when you were growing up. So now let's sort of turn and look back at Lasswade and see what it's like from another view. And there we have the village again, going right back to the house where Ian was born. A lot of new houses up the back being built, which is good in one way, because it is a very nice village, and the locality, I mean, it's only 6 miles from Edinburgh. And this is Lasswade from what we used to call the swing park. There's additional swings, little bits and pieces. Memorial. And over here was another one of those dares that young chaps like Ian used to get up to. See if you can walk across the pipe and not fall in the river. Of course, the hardest part about walking across the pipe, I mean, it's quite a thick pipe, but the hardest part was when you saw the police station over there. You used to always shit yourself when you're halfway over and the policeman was on duty and he looked out of his window. That's when you fell in the water. And this is the scene of all our garden fetes and summer days at the church, sack races, bean races, football games, and etc. We used to all come down the field here. Let's go down and have a look at the river. Well, the river's quite clear now. In fact, there's quite a few people who actually come down here to fish. But in Ian's time when he was growing up, because Lasswade was associated with a paper mill, they used to always be making different colours of paper. So if it was blue paper, the river would be blue, and if it was green, the following day the river would be totally green. There was no fish in it, but now I'm happy to say that everything's back to normal. There's beautiful fish, trout, all in the river-esque now. Well, we'll start heading up Polton Road, up to the high school. Well, this is a very famous house here because this is 11 Dobbies Road. After we left Lasswade in 1960, we came up here. Things were getting a little bit tight down in Lasswade because we were now 4 in the family, 4 boys. So Mum and Dad naturally thought, we'll come up to Bonnyrigg, which is only up the hill a little bit, and be a little bit closer to the high school as well. So this is 11 Dobbies Road, and that used to be our bedroom up there, David and I, and then Ian and Lachlan shared this little room here. Of course, in those days, the gardens, there was gardens right along, but things have changed now. It's now all open plan, which is quite nice. There used to be a lovely fence along there, beautiful hedges. That's the one that Mum started clipping one day, and you remember she started clipping the hedge with the electric clipper, and she went right through the electric cable. Yeah. So that's the old 11 Dobbies Road. And we're just going to turn right and go up to the high school. Well, at the end of Dobbies Road we come up, and this is Lasswade High School. Used to be a different entrance in your days, Ian. This is all big now. It's got swimming pools and tennis courts, squash courts and everything in here. It's really expanded. But we'll try and go round the back, as McConnell usually does. There's bound to be a way we can sneak round the back and have a look at probably the original school, which we remember, because looking at it now it looks like a bloody concentration camp. But anyway, that's the back of the school, and even I remember it well, Ian, because there's that little wall there that I used to stand behind there with a few of the guys and have my fly smoke. And that's when you used to say to each other, "I'm on your end." Or if you were really poor, you'd say, "I'm on your wee end." And carefully extract the small pin from your lapel and stick it in the wee stub of the cigarette. But that's the back, and that's our playing green. Remember, we used to hit the balls and everything off the wall, playing tappy. Right, we'll go around, and probably in your day and my day, and this was the joinery, turning and fitting and the lathes. This was woodwork, and this was just a massive playing area again. But once again, they've added this extension on here, and I have no idea what it is. This is the high school. This was built around 1957, 58. And some happy times here, but I think there was more, you'll agree even watching the film, there was more atmosphere down in Lasswade.